So I'm guessing you all want to hear a creepypasta. I'm also guessing that you all have probably heard the story of Slender Man. I've been working as a school security guard for 3 years now. It was pretty boring until this last semester, when we got a new vice principal. She came in with a whole bunch of new ideas, most of which were good. One of her new ideas was adding cameras throughout the school and enforcing a mandatory after-school program for all students. She also hired 2 new people to be security guards, bringing the total amount of security guards to 4. There was me, my best friend Marcus, our newest female colleague, Samantha, and this big lug Bruno, who just kept to himself. There was only one rule when we started our jobs here. If you hear a page over the intercom, you have to find them and escort them to their destination. That's what the previous administration wanted us to do. But this new vice principal had 7 rules that we had to abide by or we would be fired immediately. You never speak into the microphone unless you have to. Only the vice principal and the principal are allowed to speak through that intercom note. If you see something suspicious on the cameras, you report it immediately to the vice principal. No. 3. You do not question anything the vice principal says or does. You just do it. No. 4. You do not approach any of the students unless you have to. They are unallowed to leave the premises without being escorted by a teacher or one of our security guards. Now 5. You check the cameras every 15 minutes while on shift. No. 6. You do not go off shift until your replacement arrives. You stay in the office and watch the cameras. And finally, number 7. If you hear a page over the intercom, you respond immediately. If you don't, you get no warning. You're immediately fired. All of these rules seemed reasonable enough, so none of us really complained except for Bruno. He thought they were ridiculous and he shouldn't have to follow them, but he was the new guy, so we all just kind of ignored him. One day I was sitting in the security office watching the cameras and I noticed a boy sitting in the library after school. He was sitting there for quite a while and I thought maybe one of the teachers forgot to pick him up. So I decided to check the cameras in the classroom to see if his teacher was still there. The teacher had left. I radioed in Samantha and told her to go check on the kid. As she was walking to the library, she stopped in her tracks and backed away slowly. I asked her what was wrong and she responded, "He's not there anymore." I looked at the screen and the boy was gone. I quickly checked all the other exits and he didn't leave the building. Samantha and I looked at each other and then we both started to panic. We called out over the intercom, "Attention all staff and students. This is an emergency code purple lockdown. Please stay in your area." We repeat code purple lockdown. The vice principal came running into the security office and we explained to her what happened. She went pale as a ghost and started looking through the cameras. We all stood there in silence as we watched the screen. Then she turned to us and said, "Get the other guards and the janitor. We need to search every room in this school." As we were searching, the vice principal stayed on the radio with the police. After we checked every single room, we found nothing. Even the police found nothing. The vice principal let out a huge sigh of relief and said, "Thank God, it's just a false alarm. You all did a great job." And that's when the fire alarm started going off. We all looked at each other and then at the vice principal. She looked back at us with tears in her eyes and said, "You know what to do." We all nodded our heads and started We met back at the main entrance and the vice principal was nowhere to be seen. Marcus was the first to break the silence. "She's gone. The vice principal is gone." I felt my heart sink. I knew exactly what he was talking about. We had found out a few weeks ago that the vice principal had taken her own life. She had hung herself in her office. It was so sad because she had such high hopes of making the school a better place. Now her hopes and dreams lay broken in that office. As we waited for the police to arrive, we heard the sound of footsteps behind us. We all turned around to see who was coming, but we couldn't see anyone. We could have sworn we heard a voice say, "Thank you for following the rules." Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. I've been your host. Join me again next time for more creepypastas.